Hi, I'm Luc Rosmalen. I entered the coffee market just a few years ago when co-founding Taka Insights, where using modern methods we aim to provide consolidated insights and additional transparency to the coffee market. Today I'm here as CTO of FarmersDirect, with whom we've recently joined forces. Aware of the key topic of today, we sensed that our experience and knowledge could really blossom when combined with the traceability capabilities of the FarmersDirect platform in helping the coffee market with the challenges deriving from the new EU deforestation regulation. Before entering the coffee market, I worked on 2 extensive license applications for companies in the financial sector. One might ask, why is this relevant? But as someone who has implemented several regulations in this sector, I can recount a comparable industry-wide scramble when the Payment Service Directive 2 was introduced just a few years ago. There was a noticeable disparity between the regulatory framework provided by Europe and the clarity that market participants were seeking. Prior to implementing Payment Service Directive 2, many financial sector market participants expressed dissatisfaction with the existing regulation, which they believed was too specific and restricting innovation in technical solutions. Market participants in the coffee industry have expressed their desire for more precise definitions and a clearly defined regulatory framework. However, considering the previous financial sector example, it might be understandable why the regulator chose to leave some aspects open-ended. Under Payment Service Directive 2, Q&As and guidelines significantly influenced the regulation's implementation by market participants. Monitoring EU working groups and publications is crucial for a clear path forward. EU strategies on deforestation risk assessment, such as classifying origins and regions, will offer valuable insights. But like the financial sector at the introduction of Payment Service Directive 2, we can't wait for the dust to settle, and I'm looking forward to sharing FarmersDirect's approach to the challenges introduced by the deforestation legislation with you today. The spirit of the act is clear, as we would say in Dutch. As a sector, we must make a contribution towards reducing the risk of coffee production leading to deforestation. The question then arises, how do we tackle this challenge in a world where risk is an inherent part of doing business? Leaning on the experience from the financial sector, we can tackle this challenge by adopting a clear, standardized, auditable and reproducible approach. This approach should involve evaluating all available information for each of the topics that the EU wants us to validate and making informed choices for each of these aspects. Further, it is important to constantly incorporate new observations from both the system's functioning and external input, such as new information coming from EU meetings. At FarmersDirect, we aim to provide you with just this. At its core, we need to be able to balance the risks involved in buying a certain lot of coffee, but we need flexibility in what measures we choose to employ to keep the risk and reward in a fair balance. That's why we use a 2-stage model. A pre-scan to calculate the gross risk of a transaction and the option to use a wide array of additional measures if we find the gross risk is unacceptable. By being transparent about FarmersDirect's methodology, we allow market participants insights in the model used to calculate a gross risk score, so each market participant can decide which outcome it deems acceptable or requires additional measures. Key components of this pre-scan are KYC. KYC is an acronym commonly used in financial services. It stands for Know Your Customer. In this context, it implies how much we know about the producer and other partners in the value chain. Key to our approach is having the producer partake in the FarmersDirect traceability system and, as such, having an identity on this system. Validate geodata. Validating geodata, making sure that GeoJSON, TopoJSON or longitude-latitudes provided by the farmer actually represent a valid file and location. Once we validated the data's integrity, we check if the actual location is likely to contain coffee or, for example, features buildings or a highway, leading us to default the provided data. Statistical data. Based on the location, we look at various statistical datasets. The European Union has taken the opportunity to introduce various additional factors that they would like us to take into consideration other than deforestation. such as the rights of native inhabitants, but also wider concepts such as corruption levels and other similar indexes. EU risk profile. The European Union has announced that it will have the opportunity to assign levels of risk both to countries and regions, namely low risk, standard risk and high risk. Whilst we still have to wait for the European Union to actually implement these three different levels, their potential impact on this risk assessment stage is clear, with these different risk levels translating into various requirements in terms of inspected goods and in terms of the amount of traders/operators reviewed. FD-ICM participant. FarmersDirect offers an integrated crop management program to farmers. Part of this program is taking initial soil samples from the farmer and building a close relation with the farmer. As such, we have more relevant data on these particular farmers than we might have for farmers not participating in this program. Third-party inspection. Third-party inspection in this context implies, for example, that there is either existing data made available by on-site inspection performed by a third party, or that relevant aspects of the deforestation legislation have been validated or verified in light of a certification scheme. The initial risk assessment here is the score resulting from the review of each element of the pre-scan, which is then compared to the agreed risk preference or the client's risk appetite expressed as a number. If the remaining risk does not meet the agreed risk appetite, then additional measures must be selected to reduce the risk. Let's look at these options. Roughly speaking, there are 5 main methods that we can enlist to lower the risk level: remote inspection, sensor-based checks, FDC-ICM participant, third-party inspection, and extended KYC. FarmersDirect has partnered with Satelligence, a company with over 20 years of experience in the remote sensing industry, to enable remote validation of deforestation for a specific field or farm. Satelligence uses published methods developed with scientists, resulting in a transparent, reliable, and robust methodology. And their data processing is EY certified and SBTi compliant. The Satelligence platform enables a one-off validation and ongoing monitoring of deforestation for farms on either the FarmersDirect or white label platforms. Embracing technological innovation, we are working to incorporate sensor-based approaches such as the use of portable near-infrared sensors to analyze and fingerprint green coffee beans. This can be done using a point-to-point model, measuring 2 or more points in the journey from coffee farm to cup to compare sample composition. GPS coordinates of these scan locations provide added assurance. Looking ahead, we plan to collaborate with industry partners to establish a reference database. This database will enhance certainty by matching shipment samples to this dataset, offering an alternative, less impactful approach. At the heart of FarmersDirect integrated crop management system is an 8-step approach to help farmers optimize yield while balancing their soils and reducing the amount of inputs needed. The 8 steps are: soil imbalance, building up humus, and management, creating and restoring biodiversity, soil life imbalance, adjusted tillage system, modified fertilization system, and integrated pest and disease management. Third-party inspection can be provided by independent companies such as Peterson and Control Union, or by certifications that cover elements required for remote sensing-based validation. An example is the 4C certification. Know Your Customer, or KYC. As mentioned, during the pre-scan, we take into account the KYC concept. For the pre-scan, we rely on basic KYC, such as email validation, phone validation, and self-assessed company and location data, and, for example, production facts and figures. These are then processed automatically. If required, we can extend these by, for example, company data checks, government registrations, spot checking, and different levels of manual validation. Looking at the bigger picture, the processes explained earlier contribute to the ability to produce the required due diligence statements, either when products are first placed on the market or when acting as one of the downstream parties required to validate the efforts of previous parties in the supply chain. A key factor in this process is the fact that the entire process is enabled by FarmersDirect's existing blockchain solution. It provides traceability and auditable logs of each step taken, not only in the risk assessment steps, but also in the journey from producer to consumer. This allows you, if you wish, to share key details with consumers about both the journey of their coffee and the efforts made to achieve deforestation-free coffee, but crucially, it also adds a second layer of auditability to the entire process, which can be of great value when it comes to providing evidence and documentation of the steps taken to regulators. As stated in the introduction, we aim to contribute to a sustainable and transparent coffee sector. This is why we're committing to keeping our solution in check with relevant policy developments, feeding our clients with the latest insights and developments, and a cycle of continuous improvement to deliver on the goals of the EU deforestation legislation by ensuring you have the toolkit needed to do so.